Three, two, one. You are in a dimly lit room. The exits are north, south, and west. On a table lie the fragments of silicon.
We playing that? Were we playing that through the battery-powered tape deck on the desk?
Kind of sounded like that.
It sounded fine on my end, so it's probably just Skype.
Duly noted. It sometimes, yeah, sometimes Oracle's like that. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host Adam. Joining me is the regular crew.
Yo.
Yeah, it's like
back.
Right. Anyway, we're on a bit of a time crunch. Our guest this week has things to do, so we're doing the interview first. Joining us this week is Stephen Kick of Nightdive Studios.
Hello.
Hello. God, it's been about a year since you've been on a program last?
It seems about that long, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time, roughly speaking. Let's see, and there's been quite a bit of developments in that time span. Well, I suppose we should go to the big thing, System Shock. A couple months ago, I remember reading that the System Shock remake ran into some problems and had to stop production. I suppose my question is basically what happened there?
That's a very good question. So let's see if I can sum it up. Essentially what had happened was after the Kickstarter finished and, we had that successful campaign, we started ramping up the team probably a little too aggressively. We had a clear path in mind. The Unity demo that we released with the Kickstarter campaign itself was at that point our pre-alpha. It was more or less a vertical slice of the game, showing off, all the base foundational mechanics, how combat would work, how some of the puzzles would work, how the art style would look. We had established all this stuff ahead of time, and I think that's what gave a lot of people confidence in the project. So what ended up happening was we established, or we came to the conclusion that the Unity engine itself wasn't going to be an appropriate fit for the game that we wanted to make. And this was kind of based off a number of factors, the most important one being performance, optimization, that type of thing, portability to the consoles, PS4 and Xbox One. It just didn't seem like it was going to be able to do it, to put it, frankly. So we switched to the Unreal Engine. And at that point in time, we had brought on a project director and a new art director. And at that point, that's when the project began to take a dramatic shift away from what we had already established in a Kickstarter. And I can't really get into the specifics, but to, I guess, summarize that whole initiative, it quickly blew out of proportion. We completely lost sight of the game that we were supposed to make, or the one that we had promised to our backers. And we got lost in the weeds. It got to the point where we were looking for additional funding because we knew that with all the changes that were being made, and the size of the scope growing, that we wouldn't be able to do it with the amount of money that we raised on Kickstarter. And so it quickly kind of spiraled out of control. So at that point, I want to say about a year had passed. There were a lot of decisions in there. Obviously, hindsight, it's 2020. I wish I could go back. I wish I could change some things, but I effectively made the decision to let go of the team that was currently developing that game. I didn't feel like it was what we had promised our Kickstarter backers. I felt like we had failed tremendously at delivering the product that they had donated towards, and I started rebuilding the team based around a couple of key philosophies, commandments, if you will, that would not be broken this time around. And what you see is kind of what we've been showing off the last couple of months via Kickstarter updates, via our streams, and via, the press outlets that have covered us so far. So the response has been overwhelmingly positive. I think that our Kickstarter backers knew better than anyone that something was wrong. We got a lot of negative feedback based on the stuff that we were showing, and we pretty much did a 180, and now we're kind of plowing through our original vision. We're going very, very quick. We know exactly what needs to be done. We have the team in place, and most importantly, everybody that's on board this time around is a devout System Shock fan, and they truly understand what it is that we have to do in order to accomplish our goal of, making a remake of this classic game.
Okay. Let's see. So there's a lot to unpack here. I suppose a good question would be, can you elaborate on what the new commandments are for the revised remake?
Can I elaborate on the commandments? We have them written down. I don't have them with me right now. Like I don't want to go searching for them on this time, but essentially they kind of break down into different compartments like audio, visuals, design, that type of thing. And the biggest commandment is that the art style is going to dictate a lot of the decisions that we make down the road. And that art style is being purely led by Rob Waters, who is the original artist on the game.
Yeah. We've met Rob.
Yeah, he's just if the one word that comes into my mind when I think of Rob Waters is genius. He's a visionary, very humble guy, but his skills and his abilities to translate the work that he did back in 1994 to the art style that we've established with him has just been invaluable, and it's quickly helped us get back on track with the project.
That's good. That's good. How many people are working on it now versus the old team?
The old team, I think that we had at one time kind of ballooned to anywhere between 15 and 17 people. And now we've got a very tight, very agile team of about half a dozen. And the communication is much better. It's much faster. I've taken over the role as game director, along with all my other duties on Nightdive, and I've made sure again that the people that I've entrusted with certain tasks or disciplines are up to it, because this is going to be very, very challenging, and it would be for any team. But I feel, again, based on what we've shown and what our goals and achievements are now, that we're definitely on the right track.
That's good to hear. That, especially given the, how do I put this, the nature of some Kickstarter projects, and the ways they've went asunder.
Yeah, even if it wasn't as early as you might have hoped, it's good that you recognized there was a problem and tried to fix it instead of just throwing good money after bad, as it were.
Yeah, and that's really important to us. I mean, we've been around for almost 6 years now, and we have accumulated a wealth of, you know, let's say good vibes and great people that follow us. We've got fans. We've got people that follow us and are rooting for us. And the worst thing that I could think of is disappointing those people, because we wouldn't be here without them. Even from our earliest efforts, it's their support. It's them picking up these old games and enjoying them again that allows us to keep doing what we love doing, which is bringing back classic games, and now with the addition of fully remaking a game from scratch. And knowing that this is kind of our first foray into that space, we knew that it just couldn't fail. And it really did get to that point at night where I'd be up till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning working on this, doing everything I could to make sure it succeeded. And I would go to bed with this feeling like I had just been sucker punched in the gut. It just didn't feel right. It felt like if we had kept going on that path, it could have spelled the end of Nightdive. And I'm not putting that lightly. It felt that hopeless at times. So to be where we are again, in a state where we're going to have our pre-alpha available to some backers in September. I mean, we've come a long way, and I'm so excited for everybody that's going to get to play this when it comes out, because it's going to be the product of a group of very passionate people pouring their hearts and their souls into it.
Once again, that is very good to hear. As my colleague pointed out, not too many people have that epiphany this early on and can course correct as fast as you did. Anyway, now going back to the original announcement, I remember you mentioning that this game was now slated for 2020. Given the progress that has been made since then, is that year still the focus, or are you looking 2019 now?
Ideally, it would be 2019, probably Q4, which conveniently slips into the beginning of 2020. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's all going to come down to a number of factors. But yeah, I mean, the sooner that we get the game out, the better. But I think that 2020, Q1, end of Q1 is going to be a very it's tentative. But it's a safer bet than any other estimate I could give you right now.
Sounds good. I mean, better distant than close and shaky, because then that leads to delays. And I know you mentioned that the reactions have been positive, but I definitely did see quite a bit of backlash personally, because once again, that goes back to the Kickstarter connection. There have been a lot of Kickstarters that have failed, have had problems, and this was seen as another notch in that particular peg. So my question to you is, to those who might have felt burned on this, do you think you'll be able to earn their trust back?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if they're patient, and I know a lot of people aren't, if they wait and they play the game that they've donated towards, they're going to be very pleased. There was a quote that I read by Shigeru Miyamoto the other day. I don't know it verbatim, but it's something like, if you release a game too early, it'll be bad forever, but if you take your time, it'll be great, or something along those lines. And
I've seen the quotes. I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure if it's something he's ever actually said, but I could believe that he would say that.
Are you saying not to believe everything you read on the internet?
There have been other quotes attributed to Shigeru Miyamoto that turned out not to be true. Like,
and Hayao Miyazaki and.
You mean anime
was
wasn't a mistake?
Yeah, was it Miyazaki or was it what's his name?
I don't. I think I know what you're.
Anyway, that was at least out of context.
Right.
So
what's his name?
I totally understand where they're coming from. I mean, I've backed projects on Kickstarter that I've never received the product or the game never came out, so I know how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
They are gonna get what they donated towards. That's a promise that I feel confident making, and I'm just happy that the vast majority of people seem content with waiting, knowing that they're going to get something better as a result of that. I did get some backlash personally. We were reported to the Better Business Bureau a number of times. Somebody contacted the Department of Justice in Oregon to start looking into this. I received death threats. And just along with that, your standard barrage of really hate-filled, spiteful emails.
Mm-hmm.
And
sounds like kind of overkill for a video game Kickstarter.
Well, it is, and it's not. This isn't. This is totally typical. I mean, this is what developers face now when they, when they spurn their audience in any kind of conceivable way. I mean, look at the backlash that EA had with the latest Battlefield trailer because it had a woman in it. I mean, for God's sakes, like it's
like,
got.
That's not even the stupidest one.
Right.
The one that really, Waluigi. Like.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I knew going into what our announcement was going to be. I knew that's what was going to happen, and so I was able to kind of prepare myself mentally for that. But it did get to a point where I feared for my safety and the safety of my family, because you can't take those things lightly. You have to take those threats seriously. But I stuck on the path that I knew that we had to take in order to deliver on our promise. And I think that that first set of screenshots that we released and the admission of failure, I think, was sincere enough for a lot of people to understand that not only are we human, but we're just trying to make something for them to eventually enjoy. And it's easy for people to lose track of that sometimes. Like we're doing this for you. I'm not in it for the money. I want to make games that inspire people and that give people an experience that they can't get anywhere else. That's the whole magic behind this medium.
Right. And yeah, unfortunately, it's not even the times we live in because death threats against artists and creative people have existed before the internet. Let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just in today's world, it's all exacerbated because we're ever more connected. Things are ever more magnified. So.
Yeah, the silly thing is too, like, because we've been so transparent about this, I felt like that was the best decision. I didn't want to be obfuscated. I wanted everybody to see everything that we could possibly show them, which is why we started streaming like 5 times a week, with different developers showing what they're working on. Like, yes, we're working, we're not wasting money. And the other thing I think that is easy to forget as a fan is that this happens all the time in just about every video game that gets made. There's a point in development where you got to fix things. If something doesn't develop the way that you anticipate it, you have to go back and you have to fix these things. Our case may be a little more severe than something more typical in the AAA space, but games get delayed all the time, and would you rather have a shitty game, or would you rather the developers or the artists take their time and they make something worthwhile?
I don't know. I'm generally, except in very extreme cases, on the a good game or a delayed game is good eventually side.
Yeah, me too. It bums me out, but I don't go to the developer and threaten to come at night and kill their dog or something. It's like,
No, there's no excuse for it. Like, I know it happens and it's typical, but you know, to threaten people over anything, but as something as light as video games is just beyond the pale. Like,
yeah. So, anyways, we're past that.
right.
The game is coming along really well. As kind of an added bonus and like a thank you to everybody for holding on. We have been spending some resources on totally updating the source code and System Shock Enhanced Edition to use the source code in what is going to be a source port of the game. And to our backers, we just released an open beta of that on Steam, and that's been really fun to share with them, and it's a great way for people to play the game again before the remake comes out, to get familiar with the world and the universe, and hopefully make the comparison between that game and what we're doing, so they can see just how much love we're putting into it.
Indeed. Anyway, so are you still using Unreal Engine for the remake?
Yes, we are. It's become invaluable at this point. We don't have to worry about optimizations as much. Even in the builds that we're running in-house and on stream, on a medium setup, mid-tier computer, we're getting 100 frames a second at 4K. So just the way that we've approached the art and the technical capacity of the Unreal Engine, we're really taking advantage of everything that's offered to us.
And it's compatible with most things too, so.
Yeah.
Yes, like porting is going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but it's going to be easier than trying to do that with Unity.
I suppose. I mean, we get a lot of Unity developers on the program, and they extol the virtues of portability with that engine, but I personally wouldn't know how they compare.
Well, unless it's a versions of Unreal. There are fewer things that aren't able to run Unreal Engine than there used to be.
Right. Like,
depending on what version, I guess, but.
Yeah. Anyway, but aside from System Shock, what have you been up to in terms of acquiring and releasing classic games?
We've got a couple of games coming out in the very near future. As a matter of fact, a game is releasing tomorrow, on GOG.com. I will save the surprise till then. But it's one that we've been trying to get for a while. It's probably not going to be one that many people have played, but it has been heavily requested, and we were able to come to an agreement for that license. Sounds like somebody's getting wind in their microphone.
I'm thinking that's Mac.
Yeah, I think
it's 106. It's 106 in Tucson, and I have a fan. We're just gonna have to deal with that.
It sounds like we're at the beach.
Yeah.
We are also working on Forsaken EX, which isn't really a big secret. We've been putting out little hints here and there, but we should be seeing that game relatively soon.
I mean, going correct, I believe that was in our program a few years back.
Yeah, we got the rights to it a long time ago, and it's just been kind of on the back burner, and so we've managed to squeeze it in between the release of Turok 1 and 2 on Xbox One and some of the other things that we've just got going on. So the guys have been working very, very hard on it. It's still a blast to play. I remember checking it out, way back when, of course, and it still holds up. And it's coming out at a very ideal time. It seems like the 6 Degree of Freedom movement space shooter is kind of experiencing a mini renaissance with the release of Overload.
Overload. Yeah,
Uh,
we actually interviewed the creators a couple weeks back.
Did you have Matt Tashlog on here?
Yeah, and the other guy, I'm blanking on his name. Hang on.
Yeah, our head of biz dev is very good friends with Matt, and they were kind of from the same area and had worked together in the past. So we were very happy to see that come out and all the success that it's received.
Right. Like, Overload. Have you played Overload yet?
I haven't, no, but one of our developers picked it up, and we've been checking it out and screen sharing and just taking notes.
Yeah, it is the next Descent. Like, oh yeah, it was Mike Koulas and Matt Tessalon.
Got it.
Yeah, which is both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, it's been a long time since I played Forsaken. And if I'm recalling correctly, this is going to be a combination of like the N64 version and the PC version, correct?
Yeah, and there's a ton of new levels that we've created that will be included for free. Oh, with the purchase of the game, I should say.
Included for no further cost.
Right. Yeah, no DLC.
Yeah. So they're like just built into the game.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and all new achievements, all the same kind of graphical options that was present in Turok 1 and 2. The same labor of love, essentially.
That's good to hear. Is Forsaken EX going to be a PC thing only, or is it coming to consoles?
It is coming to console.
Can you mention which ones yet, or is that still under the veil?
That's under the veil for now. But hopefully we'll be making an announcement very soon.
Oh, good to hear. So, I don't know if you can talk about this, but Power Slave EX?
Yeah, I can't really talk about that next. Or yeah, I can't really discuss that right now.
Duly noted. Like, it's just sometimes these things leak.
I promise to be more frequent on the show, so just invite me for maybe a couple months down the road, and we can,
Yeah, that's not a problem. Well, it's like we always like having people on. No matter how many times they appear, as long as they have stuff to say. Next week's guest has been on our program 20 times. I don't think I'm even joking about that.
Oh, really? They beat my record, huh? I think this is like got to be my 6th or 7th time, right?
I think it's nearing 10. But
yeah, that sounds about right.
But no, John, he's been on our. I've lost count. Like, I've lost count with a couple of people. Like, but anyway, so I guess another thing we should mention is Titanic Out of Time.
Adventure Out of Time. Yeah.
Adventure Out of Time. Sorry. This finally released not too long ago.
Yeah, that's a really fun one. The visuals are a bit dated. I wish that we were able to, again, just like everything, find some source code or some original art to make some further improvements, but we had to kind of rely on just the standard re-release for that. But it's still as wonderful as I remember it, playing it as a kid. The music is a real highlight for me. And even though the facial, let's call it facial animation, hasn't aged particularly well, it is kind of amusing in its own right and does, it's entertaining. But it's a great story and it's a great game.
Yeah, I have it. I just haven't had time to play it. like with so many other games. It's like if I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
if I'm not like doing it for a review, it takes so long to get around to playing it.
Yep, that's about the state of things these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure you've faced a similar dilemma. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
yeah.
I hate to do this. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad that you asked me about System Shock. I am planning on doing a very in-depth post-mortem that will get into all the nitty-gritty details about what happened and how we came to where we are, and it being a post-mortem, we'll talk about the game post-launch. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No problem, no problem. And yeah, hopefully we'll have you on again when we can talk more about, like, say, Forsaken EX and the Power Slave EX and all that stuff. But until then, take care. Once again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Indeed.
Bye.
All right. So it's always a bit awkward when we change our format because we don't have the transition music keyed up to go from interview to news. But you know, here we are. Welcome to our news segments.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, Mac, why don't you go first? You've got news to announce.
That's right. Well, I have video too.
Right.
It's YouTube, so it's easy to stream. Here, I'll copy and paste it into the chat.
But I'm sure Petty Fan can play it if you want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm going to load it into the chat so that way
All right.
Petty Fan can do his magic. So we've updated the cast list. We have some rather large announcements since my last appearance on the show. I have successfully negotiated with and signed Richard Epcar to star in Space Destroyer Hunter. And as of last night, we've completed the recording for our second actor, Michael Zekas, who is playing Lieutenant Sertain. So that was pretty exciting. We spent about 5.5 hours. I think we got about 45 minutes of recording and 4 3/4 hours of bullshitting done.
So
Which-
standard operating procedure.
Pretty much, which will probably end up being 7 minutes of dialogue.
Yeah, standard operating procedure.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. It's like, you think to yourself, oh man, these people are just talking and talking. It's an hour-long episode, right? Nope, everybody's got about 7, 8, 10 minutes tops.
All right, I should be
So, pretty
ready
funny.
to go on that video if you want.
All right. So here we go. This is the new opening theme and visuals for Space Destroyer Hunter. And by the way, this is official. It is not a draft.
Alright, it should be done. Is anybody still there?
I am.
Yeah,
Mac?
Look pretty good.
indeed.
You lose Mac?
I think Mac disappeared.
Anyway, now that I've unmuted my microphone,
10 out of 10 best host.
What do you think you are, me?
I was doing that last night too. I was like, "Oh yeah, that was a great take," and they're like, "Mac, hello." Oh, Jesus. So as you guys can see, we filled out the secondary and tertiary cast. All parts have been turned in for, well, the two largest roles have been turned in. Still working on the third because there's a money question changing hands there. I have to do this in segments because the GoFundMe hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire.
Do you
But,
have a
we
link to
have
that?
got
I
a-
can throw that in the chat if you want.
Yeah, sure.
See if people like what they see, if they want to throw a few dollars at it.
What accent?
There
was
it is.
that?
I don't know, and I partially regret it.
Partially?
Partially.
There you
Mostly.
go. Well, I got the right preview image, so I know I sent you the right one there.
And it's not the one that might get us banned from Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's great about this is you notice the YouTube preview image. It's Brill, who's played by Richard Epcar. So I'm like, if that's the first thing everybody sees when they now go to this page, I think we're all right. Oh shit, Richard! He's playing that weird dude. All right. Which is great because, you know, the character has roughly the same build and skin tone as Gilgoa Bowman from Macross Plus.
Almost like it was designed.
Oh, you would think that, wouldn't you? No, but it's funny is when I designed all of these characters, that was what, 12 years ago? No, longer than that. Talking 2001. So 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I
Before
had no
the
knowledge of
sun
industry.
started giving off light. I mean, wait.
Right. I had no idea who was going to be in this. I had, you know, half these people weren't nearly as big of a deal as they are now. Some of them.
Some of them definitely weren't because they weren't even like professional yet.
That's a very nice way of putting it.
I mean,
was gonna say
they were like still young, like pre-working young.
3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
I think Leon is our youngest cast member, and he's 22, 23 now. So it's interesting putting all this together. I took about 3 weeks assembling all this. Keith helped me with the artistic assets, of course. He did sketches of all the characters, and I inked and colored them in Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop. And of course, the logo type was done in After Effects, as was that little brief clip at the beginning with the planet, and then the swipe over to the ship zooming by the camera. That was a still image turned into an animation sequence via Adobe After Effects CS6. So, I mean, it all just came together. It's like I had this like 19-second gap, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with that? Oh, I got it. We'll do anime style credits where they have like white text that looks like they took the Japanese away and replaced it in one of those video editing boxes.
Right.
And I assembled all of it in believe it or not, iMovie 17.
Oh man, I'm shocked your computer can run it. Hey.
Yeah, well, this good old Core 2 Duo Mac was like, I don't know, let's hit the button and see if she struggles. Oop, I hear groaning.
I see smoke and fire coming out the back.
Yep. So, and of course, we also have artwork from the graphic novel that Alex animated, sort of, in Power Director. So that way, that was from our Kickstarter campaign video last year. Sorry, Indiegogo, to get the initial funds for it, and that borked. So we made the first episode of Starship Moonhawk instead. So I'm not. I haven't gotten any responses from the fans saying how they felt about that. But let's just say some of them haven't donated twice. Yeah, well, I kind of expected that. I, I'm not bitter about it, except at myself for going that route. So, because I remember as we were listening to Steven there, he was talking about how some people just won't donate again because there's lack of trust in the industry, and sometimes these decisions are the reason why there's a lack of trust. It's like, well, it wasn't exactly what I gave money for, but I'll accept it. But you're going to get a harumph. So, we are trying to finally deliver on the product that they asked for a year and a half ago, and do it in the way that we had intended, which is not a motion comic, but a Archer style anime inspired feature. And to look at the backgrounds that Keith has been putting together for this already, we've got the bridge set probably about 40-50% designed, and when you put the characters in it, it looks a lot like Voltron. So less like Archer and more like Voltron.
Like the original Voltron or like the new one?
The new one. The new Voltron. So I'm pretty pleased with that, because that is the aesthetic that I would like to go with. I've been watching a little bit of that, and I'm like, yeah, I think we can work with this. I'm returning as director for this episode. Keith will be doing episode 2 of Starship Moonhawk, but I'm directing the pilot of Space Destroyer Hunter, and of course doing casting and some of the animation and constructing the opening credit sequence and wrangling people and doing live directed sessions online. So it's pretty big news. So please stop by the GoFundMe if you're so inclined, and drop us a few pennies. A few dollars would be more useful. Oh, and we do have a special promo. There aren't physical rewards for this because we are only trying to get the funding for the voice acting. If we were trying to fund the animation, you'd probably be looking at $200,000-$300,000 easily. We're only funding the voice acting, and we have $1,845 to go towards goal, so that way we can start getting all of the actors in place now. What I've been doing on the side is cobbling it together from whatever shambles of finances that I have left on a actor by actor basis. Okay, I got enough money to get you. It's go time. Get in the booth. That's basically how it's been going.
Throw a roll of $20 bills at them.
We can speed this process along significantly if we get the rest of that money. Plus, anything that's left over, since I've now already spent some of my own money, will go towards promoting the project and getting it out to the masses, so that way we have a better chance of getting episodes 2 through 6 made.
Hooray.
All right, I'll yield the floor.
All right. Petty Fan, why don't you go?
Let's see. I need to get back to doing yard work again because it's been raining for the past almost week. So the yard is starting to look a little shaggy. That's gonna be fun. Monday, I have to go see the doctor about my wrist issues, so hopefully there's good news there and not, I need to have surgery, because that would be suck.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sometime here in the next, week or two, I'm going to be seeing about ordering a new chair, because this one's been broken for years and just keeps falling apart more and more. So it's time to replace. Oh, hi, kitty. Apart from that, not a whole lot else.
Okay. Ogre.
Let's see. Recordings are going fine. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do next. Because it's going to be a while, but hedging my bets here. Let's see. Other than that, not a whole lot. I had to go to the dentist because part of my dentures broke, the bottom part. One of the teeth broke off, so I had to get
Ooh.
that fixed
Hmm.
right quick, which it did, so it's fine now.
Yeah.
So no problems there. It just felt weird to go 1 week without the bottom part of my teeth for a while. Let's see. Other than that, not a whole lot going on around here.
Okay. Twilight.
Let's see now. First of all, I've got my desktop computer up and running again,
Hooray.
which is good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it turned out the whole visual display problem I was having was I just apparently didn't have the power plugged all the way into the graphics card.
Ah,
Or at least
that'll
one
do
half
it.
of it was. Yeah, the motherboard was registering it, but it didn't have enough power to put it on the screen.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm glad that's over with. And also, I had to switch to the that 600-watt power supply I bought a while back that you suggested to me, Petty Fan,
Hmm.
because my 500-watt apparently died with the old motherboard.
I'd be willing to bet money it's what killed your old motherboard.
I imagine it was. It made sense when I discovered that. Yeah. Well, besides computer stuff, we got a new cat, little kitten. Somebody apparently dropped him off on us Saturday evening. Well, she or her. It's a girl.
Oh, you finally caught
Yeah.
it to catch its gender.
Yeah, it was running around like crazy when we first discovered it.
Cats
Wouldn't let
do
us
that.
catch it. Yeah. It was scared of us at first, but once we finally got to come to us and feed it, it likes us now. Of course.
Imagine that.
And it's very talkative, I guess you could say. It's very loud too.
Yeah, Noisy likes to talk too.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call it Socks for now. One of the more generic names you could give for a cat, but it's fitting. It's gray with white paws and a white belly.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, during the downtime of my computer was out of commission. Been playing more Persona 5, but now I'm now playing the two games we'll be doing this Sunday, and that's about it.
Okay. Well, Galix, you're up.
Well, I've been a little bit busy since this weekend because I am going to PortCon Maine this weekend, by which I mean starting tomorrow. So I'm off from work and I'm working on packing my stuff up. Also, my parents are unexpectedly out of town today and into they're getting back tomorrow early afternoon or something because of I think it's another funeral or something. I don't know. And it's just frustrating because our cat's not eating a whole ton lately, so I wish the people who whenever they go away they're really bad about telling me all of the information I need to take care of the cat.
Mm.
There are things they tell me and then there are things they don't think to tell me because I guess they assume that it's clear or something. I don't know. Anyway, because of con preparations and a bunch of other stuff earlier this week, I have not had a ton of time to play the games for this weekend. I probably won't because I'm getting home a few hours before we do the reviews, but I'll do my best. I'm also missing a Splatfest for PortCon, which is a little bit disappointing, although I really don't have a strong opinion on orange juice with or without pulp.
Without pulp.
I slightly prefer with, I don't know. I have finished the story of and then gone back and done a chunk of the post-game of Octo Expansion. And it's hard, and I'm down to the stuff that's really hard and also mostly really expensive to try, so... Because you have to pay a in-game number of tickets to get into each of the stations, so... They're hard, and you, like, have to really think about whether you want to commit to trying it. Anyway, I don't have a whole ton else going on, so I guess I'll pass.
All right. I guess it's my go. Well, my week has been just shifting back to normalcy after the busyness that was E3, and that just means a lot of talking to people and setting up this, that, and the other thing. Like, on a note about the games we're reviewing this week, I have run into a problem with one of them. I've conferred with the developers about it. They say it's a problem, a graphical card issue that they haven't nailed down yet. And they have no idea when they're going to nail that down. So I effectively cannot play this game. So the team is going to have to handle the Sorcery Saga review. Like, because I have done all I can do to get this thing up and running, and it's it's in the hands of the developer now. At the very least, they are aware of the issue, and other people have had it. It's rare, but it does happen. Apparently, there's a graphical conflict with Intel HD cards. Outside of that, yeah, just a lot of setting up shows for the future. We just confirmed our July 4th program, and it's going to be a big one. Like, more details about a week from now. Like, outside of that, yeah, that's about it for the regular news of the week. So, Petty Fan, transition us to the talk of the E3.
So, quick comment here. That Battlefield 5 thing is bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck, people? Come on. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of bullshit surrounding Battlefield 5. It's not just, the whole woman thing, but it's also EA throwing their developers under the bus.
Yeah.
It's like, trying to... Now, that wasn't cool either. But,
it was their idea.
Yeah.
Just own it, guy.
And then the people obviously paid to cheer that they were not having loot boxes in 5.
Yeah. God, that was such a Trumpian move.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, you guys are clearly all paid.
Well, not just that, but, you're expecting praise for fixing some broken shit you broke. I'm like...
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about the historical accuracy, MRAs, but that's also on the list.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of bullshit around EA and Battlefield 5.
Leave it to the American video game evil empire to once again leave us wanting.
Yeah, or at least one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't forget about Activision Blizzard either.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so E3 2018. In case you missed all of our coverage, which is archived, but is like 7-8 hours of coverage, here's our condensed thoughts. Like, so
EA yawn didn't cover it.
no.
Mhm.
Like, EA is very reliably going to be a bland shit show.
Yeah, like the only thing I'm even quasi looking forward to from EA is Anthem.
Indeed.
Like, yeah, the indie game section was like the only good part of that conference,
Mhm.
because even the Anthem section was, hi, here's a lot of talking heads up front of concept art. What the hell?
Mhm.
And it's not like the gameplay segment in and of itself looked good.
Mhm.
But yeah, EA was bland, but I will say they were better than last year, if only because they didn't have as much forced comedy. Yeah,
They still had it though.
Yeah, I'm like, they did have that now infamous 12-minute Command and Conquer Rivals segment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
and
like,
literally in that time, somebody probably released a game just like it for free.
Probably.
yeah, like, the point being, mobile games have never demoed well at E3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, showing a trailer is one thing, but like actually showing a stage demo, yeah, mobile games aren't that interesting from a gameplay perspective. I know they're huge, but
Also, they're not
Right.
good for showing off usually.
yeah, and this was no exception. Let's see. Then there was Microsoft, who pretty much everybody across the board agreed, quote unquote, won this E3.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
didn't have much that appealed to me personally, but they showed off a good number of games, and the games they showed off looked pretty good, and their presentation was competent.
Yeah. It's just they didn't have a lot exclusive to the Xbox.
Yeah, they had the same
Indeed.
issue I had with them last year. There's nothing to make me want to specifically go buy an Xbox One. There are
And-
games.
and they know that. You can tell because they were really hammering home and you'll have the best gaming experience on the Xbox.
But they're like, if I can get everything on PC or my PS4, what's the point in me buying their console?
And now
Yep.
you know the reason why they just overnight decided to buy 5 studios.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, because the more stuff they can put out that will only be on. I mean, they still have the problem of like literally competing with themselves because PC is a thing.
Yeah.
But
Right. And yeah, they had like Forza Horizon 4, sure, a ton of Gears of War projects, but it's like, like Microsoft isn't even all that concerned about you buying an Xbox One. They just want you to buy into the Xbox ecosystem. That
Right.
means either here or Windows 10.
Yeah, and if you
Mhm.
specifically, they want you to go through Windows 10, especially because if you get it through UWP, they can make you use Xbox Live Gold if it has multiplayer.
Yep. I mean, I
what,
have
even for PC game? That's kind of
Yep.
bullshit.
Yeah.
If you get it through the a UWP Windows Store app, they have the option to force you to use get an Xbox Live Gold account to do multiplayer.
That's pretty bullshit.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
I have no idea how well this initiative is working, but yeah, it's a thing. Like, that's kind of how I see the Windows 10 store. That's a thing that exists, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with ignoring it.
I think the only decent thing in the Windows 10 store is the Netflix app if you want to do full 4K HDR.
Yeah, I think I actually grabbed that.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, there's not a real reason for it to exist.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Microsoft showed off a whole bunch of games, and
But that's kind of the
They
biggest
were-
problem that's the biggest problem Nintendo had, and it's
We'll
one
get
of the
to-
two biggest
we'll-
problems that
yeah,
Sony
we'll
had.
get to them. We'll get to them when we get to them.
I know. No, I'm
But-
not trying to jump ahead. I'm just saying that's an important point of comparison.
But I will say Microsoft was very rapid fire, all killer, no filler.
Yeah, it's what a classic E3
Yeah.
should be,
Right.
just minus the talking heads coming out to talk about sales figures.
Well, honestly, sales. I can't remember the last time people talked about sales figures. Like-
I think the last one I remember, the Wii was still a thing.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But it's like even talking heads in general were less of a thing at Microsoft than other conferences. Like EA will still reliably have talking heads talking for 10 minutes about, fucking FIFA or Madden. It's like
Especially jarring
fucking
for
game.
FIFA because no one in the US cares about it.
Mind you, it's not just the U.S. audience that's watching these conferences.
It's a global
No,
thing.
no, I
but-
know.
Yeah.
It's
But
just-
it is
I don't-
physically in the US.
Yeah, it's like I just don't know how you get hyped up for the next installment of these things.
And the sad thing is, for as many people, that's the only game they buy all year.
Well, and I'd say the same way you get hyped up for Madden, but I don't know that either. So,
At least from what I can tell about Madden, it's basically like playing with football action figures. You can tell them do what you want, get the team you want, but it's really only for people who are deep into football.
Right.
The more casual people will just watch the games and be done with it.
Let's see. Up next was Bethesda. Like, people seem to be high on this conference. I think we were less so.
It was good till they basically shot Fallout in the head, but we'll get to that in a second.
okay, Fallout, they did not there are some things about Fallout 76 that are good. And then there are a couple of things about Fallout 76 that are potentially really, really bad.
I'm like, the whole nuking system is... Have you played a game online for any amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not just that. It's
Good
also
question.
kind of antithetical to the spirit of Fallout, which is that, hey, this is what happens when people think nukes are a good idea.
Right. Well, there's a whole lot wrong in terms of lore with Fallout 76. I think they were teasing the precursor to the fucking Brotherhood. No. The Brotherhood wasn't founded in fucking West Virginia. The Brotherhood is a West Coast thing.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yeah, they
But that-
started moving east, if I recall correctly, because they were in Fallout 3.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the thing with Bethesda, that, they will retcon lore at a moment's notice.
Mhm.
Whatever works for that particular game. And yeah, I get that it's Bethesda. This is Bethesda's franchise more than it is Interplace at this point. But this shit is still important. Keeping consistency is important. But I have no idea if Fallout 76 is even supposed to be canonical.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to have a canonical online multiplayer.
Especially from the way it's set up, there shouldn't be much in the way of actual questing unless you're getting them from ghouls, because you're the first people out of the vaults.
Well, there could be other people who survived that weren't exactly ghouls. People who were just a little further away from the nukes or whatever. I honestly am not super into Fallout, so I don't know all of the
Yeah.
fluff stuff, but
I think the way I understood it is everybody in the U.S. who wasn't in a vault is either a ghoul or dead. I think some foreign, like Egypt, I think was fine, and some other countries out in Europe and Asia that weren't too close to China are fine. But again, I'm not fully for sure on that. It's been a while.
But again,
That
and
sounds
also I
about
do
right.
I do like the idea of it's multiplayer but not massively.
yeah,
Like small servers that you can move between is kind of cool. I mean, still the idea of someone having the ability to like wipe out your server is kind of stupid, but
and if there is quest NPCs, just wait till people start nuking them. You know,
well, I imagine they would be respawn in every other server or whatever.
it's still if somebody decides they want to troll and they know where the silos are. Oh, look, now you can't complete the game on this server. If there isn't an easy way to change, then you're boned.
Oh, my impression was that the nuke just literally destroys the server.
No, you destroy portions.
Yeah.
Like
Basically, it's
This-
people's homes and whatnot.
yeah, the way they
This sounds
go ahead, Max.
this sounds simultaneously innovative and stupid.
Yeah.
It kind of
Basically,
is.
yeah.
It's very Minecraftian.
Uh-huh. Like, I'd expect a lot of familiar elements to show up, you know. Get ready to punch trees.
But yeah, like Golux, the way they explained it is if somebody's base was getting too big, you could just go grab a nuke and just annihilate them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I strongly
Classic.
suspect that they would have NPCs just have gotten out of the way. But yeah, I know what you mean.
It's
Then
one
again,
of those
they
things
were
we'll
also
find
talking
out.
about like not having much in the way of NPCs, so maybe PCs will be able to give you quests or something. I don't know how that would work exactly, but
Yeah, and there may not even be a story. It may just be a giant Fallout sandbox. We'll find out when it comes out.
Mhm.
Anyway, so let's see. They also had Rage 2, which I don't know, looked like I'm still willing to bet that this was at one point supposed to be Mad Max 2, but Warner Brothers rejected it. So
Yeah,
they found a buyer in Bethesda. Like, again,
Probably.
that's just speculation, but if that story comes out, I will not be surprised.
you'd be like, called it.
Like, also, Andrew WK instills PTSD in some of our colleagues.
He knows what he did.
Indeed.
Lord.
Well, CN Real was a traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
The best we
And-
can hope for is everyone involved is homeless now.
and we did get announcements that, sequels to games that people are looking for are in development. And beyond that, not much. I mean, here's the thing. CG trailers tell you fuck all about what the game is actually going to be.
Yep.
I will. It's true. Like, we got a CG trailer of Doom Eternal, and a CG trailer of.
Here's what Doom Eternal tells you about Doom. It's a Doom game.
Yeah.
It's
To be fair, the
probably on Earth.
loads of dead demons pretty much gave the game away. So that one kind of is a pass.
It's like, right, but how do you play it? Ah, fuck it.
I mean, that suggests strongly that the setting of at least part of the game is on Earth, which, that's something. But it doesn't tell you what a lot of people want to know.
Facebook promotions, why must you be so inscrutable? Sorry.
Because algorithms.
I keep clicking on promotions. Stop telling me there's something to notify me about. I've looked at
But
everything
Mac,
in here.
algorithm.
Anyway,
I say to that shit.
He invented the internet,
algorithm. Wow, you guys just get out.
Anyway,
Oh, like I'm wrong.
moving forward,
Nah.
I'm like, moving forward, we had that Devolver Digital thing.
Which they had one announcement that anyone cared about.
My friend is Pedro, or
Oh
Well-
no! Obviously, the loot box coin is like the entire new U.S. economy.
Get the fuck out.
I'm like, he's not wrong. Like, people actually fucking bought loot box coin. They get, like, they made a couple $100,000 off of loot box coin. People are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, outside of that, yeah, it was the same Adult Swim tinged humor.
Weirdly, continually plotted.
Yeah, I'm like, there's continuity in this thing, which is not what I was expecting. And yeah, it was a big homage to RoboCop. So
Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's already a simultaneously a step in the right and wrong direction.
I'm like, just as long as they don't emulate RoboCop 3.
Because then
Oh,
people will
God.
have to die.
But it was so much better than RoboCop 2. You can't see my troll face.
And LF New Mac.
On the other hand, Metal Wolf Chaos is at least as good as it originally was, which is questionable, but you know.
Yeah,
It's only the most American game ever.
Released in
which
Japan.
was Japan exclusive for 15 years.
Well, that's because it was a satire, and they probably didn't.
And it was also a sales stinker.
That's true. But also, it's just as apropos now as it was when it was released. So
I'm aware. Yeah. I'm aware.
Except in today's world, it would be Trump fighting against Pence. Ooh.
I'm like, yeah, I'm aware of the website they use to promote Metal Wolf Chaos DX. I think that's what they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
XD.
XD. There we go. Okay, so they named it after the lesser Disney Channel.
Which in and of itself is an emoji for laughing your ass off.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I just wanted to go after the not obvious joke. And then Monday hit, and here
And there it was.
And they were
Well,
entirely.
it's like then 5 fucking conferences hit. So we were busy that day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never want to do that again. Until
like-
next year.
Yeah. Like, okay, so first up was Square Enix in the "Why did you bother" category.
Yeah.
Indeed.
For those of you who weren't paying attention, Square basically blew most of their load at Microsoft.
Yeah,
Yep.
Microsoft and not just Microsoft. I think one of the others did too. Like,
Sony.
must have paid Square quite a bit to get first dibs on like Kingdom Hearts and a
Well,
couple other things.
The funny thing is they gave the Microsoft had the first shot at the Kingdom Hearts trailer, but Sony had the fully extended cut with everything,
Mhm.
including stuff that wasn't showed at the Square booth or the Square conference.
Yeah.
And they did show a few things, like the new Platinum collaboration, Babylon Fall, or was that?
Yeah.
And there was
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
The Quiet Man, which is legitimately interesting in its premise. You know, it looks like it's going to be a deaf protagonist, but
Huh.
once again, it was a CG trailer, so it told us about Jack and shit.
And Jack left town.
Like, I think they said more information was coming in August. Like, anyway, Also, there was a extended stage demo, except not the stage of Shadows of Tomb Raider. Yeah, whatever the latest Tomb Raider game is. This is not stuff that really justified their own conference, is what I'm saying. Like, I'm pretty sure if everyone had known this is what was going to be there, everyone would have slept in or skipped it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the thing. You don't know these things until you experience them. Let's see. Then was the limited run conference. Not like I don't know how many people caught this one. Like
I
even
believe that was while I was at work.
I'm just talking in general.
Mhm.
Like, when people talk about the conferences, they miss the limited run. Well, it's like calling it a conference is like
I mean, limited run is by nature not a very huge company.
no, it's just that they win with the human cutout thing, and it always looks janky and weird.
Well, also the really bad microphone, like, sounded like it was coming off a laptop.
Yeah, it's like I'm going. For sakes, guys, you can't afford some decent sound quality.
No. The funny thing is they had better sound quality when they were on our show.
Yeah.
That's the terrifying part of this.
Anyway, while its presentation was terrible, its content was pretty superb. Especially if you're interested in boxed copies of things. But that's not the only things that were announced there. As Limited Run, or rather, I believe Mighty Rabbit, their sister company, that's an actual developer. They're helping bring games over to various platforms, especially the Nintendo Switch. Like, they are helping bringing over Cosmic Star Heroine to the Switch, and Dust and Elysian Tale to the Switch.
Which is always nice to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, not just the physical game, but the actual game itself. They are doing the conversion.
Right.
So, that was all. That's really good to see. And if you wanted to hear about the Vita at E3, this was the place. Because, they had Vita announcements.
Well, who's going to announce stuff for Vita? Sony? I think they've forgotten it exists.
Well, here's the thing. Sony has said that they are stopping physical Vita games. So I'm not sure how much longer they're going to be able to support the Vita. But and mind you, I'm not sure if that includes Japan, because Vita has its own niche.
Well, and
In
also,
Japan,
I think the limited run conference also was like one or two games that they announced that are coming to consoles we didn't know they were before.
Well,
Right.
and then you've also got PlayStation TV, which is a thing because they're trying to market that to China.
Right.
It's basically a Vita without the screen, though.
I'm aware of that, and
Well-
you also can't play touch exclusive games like Katamari or Gravity Crush or the hell was it, Soul Sacrifice, or some older ones. But I kind of don't care anymore. I'm about ready to sell my Vita. I've got all the games I want. I got the Tales games. I'm waiting to see if somebody hacks it and makes a patch that I can download to my Vita. We'll see.
Yeah,
For Tales of Innocence R.
I kind of want to get a Vita at some point, but at the same time, the only thing I really would want to play on it right now is Persona 4.
Yeah, there are a few Vita / PS4 games that I'm kind of considering, but
Yeah, I kept
Anyway.
I kept like, the hell was it, Sorcerer Saga, which is supposedly a very tongue-in-cheek RPG, and I've got Conception 2, and Tales of Hearts R and all that stuff. So I mean, it's I've got a pretty good library that I'm going to hold on to. But like I said, the handheld version of it, it's sitting on the charger in my loft bed. I haven't actually used it in 2 years. So, but I have played the PlayStation TV, so that's fine. If they want to go to digital downloads so that way I can get shit on my PS TV, I'm good.
Right. Anyway, then was Ubisoft, which we actually didn't cover since we needed a break somewhere, and
Yeah.
we decided on that.
And
Like-
Semper Ubisoft, Sub Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So there was something about a panda?
I'm like, well, we had the now requisite surreal Just Dance number, like that whole weird dancing panda thing that like they do that every year with Just Dance these days. It's always a fucking drug.
I'm interested to see how Just Dance works though now with the Kinect being dead.
Well, you want to know a funny thing? Just Dance 2019 or whatever the latest version is, it's still coming to the Wii. Like,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh Jesus.
there are enough people who buy this game on the fucking original Nintendo Wii to justify printing a new version in 2018.
Fuck.
And it is a good, it did work well on the Wii. It was kind of optimized for the Wii, but
It's literally in the Wii's demographic.
yeah, that is an old thing. That is like releasing something on the NES alongside the N64 version.
Indeed. Like, anyway, let's see. So they showed off Star Fox in Star
Kinda.
Out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's say.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
I'm trying to remember. It's like Star Allies or.
Starlink.
Starlinks, yeah.
Yeah, Starlink.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Ubisoft's Toys to Life project.
You guys are.
It's another interesting thing to be working on in these day and age, but
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I guess it's worth a try now that all the other Toys to Life things are dead.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in
Yeah.
mind, they're dead for the same reason the plastic instrument genre died.
yeah.
just- People got sick of having all this plastic shit around.
Yeah, the only one that's not dead is Amiibo, and that's because Amiibo is A, Nintendo, B, usable for more than one game, and C, Amiibo's not doing as much as they used to be doing either, so. Although they did announce some new Amiibos. Anyway, I'll save that for the Nintendo part.
Yes. Other games of interest was I'm trying to remember the pirate one. Like Ubisoft. Not For Honor.
I mean, there was For Honor stuff to announce, but
Yeah.
I just kept calling it Sea of Thieves, but with more shit to do. Like, I forget
Right.
its actual title because, I'm kind of not caring about pirate stuff.
Skull and Bones.
Like, yeah, it looked like Sea of Thieves, but with things to do in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and it's still lacking some things. Like, boarding is automatics. You can't manually board a ship, and that's kind of a big part of piracy.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Like, that's like
Yeah.
one of the only fun things to do on Sea of Thieves is just kind of sneak up on a poor bastard with a powder keg and goodbye, motherfucker.
Indeed. Yeah, there was a bunch of shit announced. Most of it is the same Ubisoft sandbox game in various permutations.
Also something
Like-
scripted banter.
Like this, yeah. Ubisoft is still pushing the scripted banter on us, and
Well, I mean, it's better than unscripted banter because that's probably would get you banned.
Eh.
like
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
yeah, it's like no, scripted banter is always bad because it's always noticeable.
Yeah, they're less.
it-
They're trying to be gamers and not actually gamers.
Yeah,
Right.
it's because you really can't script out how a bunch of people talk
Mhm.
in that situation. Like, and yeah, once again, Ubisoft isn't quite as bland as EA, but they are fairly bland, at least in terms of their games.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess, having Grant Kirkhope conduct a concert was okay-ish.
Mhm.
I'll be honest, I'm not hot on the whole having musical numbers at E3 thing.
Yeah.
Well, even if you were, there was counter evidence.
Yeah. I'm like, let's see. Sony was the final conference of the evening, and holy shit.
How do you fuck up that bad?
Sony had some very good games to show off, but they did a really, really terrible job of it.
Yeah, I'm like, this was, this was about the most self-indulgent E3 conference I have ever fucking seen.
If you're gonna
Indeed.
if you're gonna relocate your entire thing from some sort of faux church setup to an actual auditorium in the middle of your conference, have something better to fill that time with than talking heads.
Indeed.
And the talking heads seemed about as lost as we were.
Yeah, and the talking heads did not seem to know how long this was supposed to take.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because, like,
yeah,
the alleged thing I heard
don't do
was
that.
the delay was they were taking their cameras and streaming setup to the other location.
Oh, dear.
Honestly, if you're gonna pull something like this off, you're gonna need to have two sets ready so you can just snap
You're fucking
switch.
Sony, you're
Yes.
for camera. Unless they can't afford an extra camera, and then they're in trouble.
They're Sony. They're an electronics company.
Right.
And it's like the other big issue is we didn't know if they were actually done.
Yeah, at the end, they just kind of did the same thing they did when they were moving the first time, and they were saying and acting like they still had stuff to reveal, which
Yeah, even the Twitch main page was like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah, and they were like, stay tuned.
maybe.
Yeah, it's like, God, the logistics were fucking awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
As
and-
far as substance, though, I mean,
Yeah.
They
it
had
was
pretty
all
good
right.
games to announce,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
as expected, a lot of fanboys did not really notice the intricacies of the first The Last of Us game.
Though, do we want to laugh about the Disney XD coverage?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Is this was not a good conference to show on Disney because there was a lot of blood and some.
A dude literally got decapitated in the Last of Us trailer.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they had to take the stream off for that. No, they actually didn't censor the kiss.
Yeah, they censored like the very end of the kiss for the extremely violent and bloody cutaway action thing, which I can see that.
Yeah.
And it came back for like the end of the kiss, so.
Again, she murdered like what, 7 guys, and one of them was beheaded.
Yeah,
On zero number of guys.
yeah, it's like E3 is not a child-friendly place.
Mm-hmm.
They
I
didn't
think-
even have they didn't even have a content warning until like the very end.
Yeah, and I was like, oh fuck, the FCC's gonna have a field day with this. But yeah, they were not prepared, and it was hilarious.
It's kind of a shame because I mean the only other real flaw aside from the presentation being completely terrible is that they only had like 5 or 6 games to show off and they only focused on like 4 of those.
Well, and also they had time to slide in 2 musical numbers.
Oh, the initial one
Not-
was
not
to
the
set the initial one was to set the theme for the Last of Us thing, which that was
I think it's
kind
also.
of a decent segue.
I
The
think it's
Shock
also.
Hockey number was a little bit self-indulgent.
I think it's also important to note that there was a little bit of a cultural appropriation kerfuffle that was unfounded over that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
This
He's
guy
like
was-
he's like one of 5 master practitioners in the world of that particular instrument. Like lives the culture, and then people were beating up on the social justice warrior who stepped in the middle of that.
Like, I could see if they just got some, dude to play over it. Well, that somebody was actually doing it for reals in the back, but
He was clearly actually a very skilled player, but
Yeah,
it
he's
was
one
just
of.
weird to have like one guy playing a shakuhachi in front of a screen of rolling grass. I mean, I get that it's supposed to be thematic to the game, but seriously, that's not.
Yeah, but the issue was not that he was playing it in front of the screen. They were whining about why a Japanese person wasn't playing it, and they said, "Well, he's one of like a handful of masters of this instrument in the world, and he actually composed the soundtrack." So,
Oh,
fuck
okay.
off.
I did not know he was the game composer.
Yeah, I believe he's actually a composer, songwriter, and he lives the culture that he has absorbed.
Yeah,
So
'cause that's a instrument I believe that is popular among a certain type of monk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also worth noting that the Ghost of Tsukushima is being developed by an American developer, Sucker Punch. I know
Right.
Sony is a Japanese company, but just
And
gonna-
honestly, it looks like a good game. The game is not the issue.
no. I'm like, but that was a fucking trend for some reason. Samurai games. We are
Yeah,
getting
pretty much everybody had one of those.
like, Neo 2 got announced at the very same conference, and Microsoft showed off From Software's Samurai game.
which thankfully is coming to PS4, so I don't need to get an Xbox.
No, you.
The
No,
one
you
game
cannot-
that might have got me to get an Xbox, I don't need one for.
Like Sekiro's that from
Yeah.
Software.
Yeah.
I think that's how that's. Sekiro, like
Sekiro or something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Shadows
Sekiro.
die twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ninja
Like-
with one arm goes fights bunch of dudes.
Anyway, the games they showed off, were of high quality. But honestly, I think another problem was they all looked kind of the same. Like they were kind of the same game with
Yeah, they
different-
just with different aesthetics. They had a lot of actiony, cinematic, fancy, high graphics.
Granted, Death Stranding was,
Death Stranding.
yeah, like it was Kojima-tastic.
Yep.
We do have confirmation that it is an actual game.
Are you sure?
I mean,
Like, are we
Some
100% sure on this?
Also, something about invisible monsters that you can plug your baby into a thing to make be able to hear where they are.
Fuck. And I think it was bouncing between different timelines? Like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh my.
Yeah.
While
Yeah.
Watching Norman Reedus just run around with that thing. Carrying stuff.
I'm like, it's a treatise on what the fuck.
I don't think that's.
Yeah. Anyway, finally we have Nintendo, the last conference thing of the E3 presentation. Like,
had a few cool things to show off, and then they spent like 2/3 of their conference on Smash Brothers, which, while very good, is one game.
Yeah, it's like Nintendo's had the habit for the last 3 years of focusing on one game.
Which is partially because they're doing these as the same way they do the directs, which is often mostly focused on one game. It's
Yeah.
just different because it's E3.
Yeah, very quickly, I will say that for E3, maybe go back to the live conference format, or do something other than just yet another direct.
Well, the big issue with Nintendo was they blew their load with the Pokemon news early. If they would have saved that for E3,
Yeah, it would have. In this case, it probably would have been better to save that. Like, I understand that sometimes they want to show less stuff before, but in this case, that would have been almost as big news as their other stuff.
Mhm.
Anyway, we are running low on time, so final thoughts on E3 2018.
E3 is
Yeah.
a thing that happened.
Yeah, Microsoft, I think, I really like what Nintendo put up, and Microsoft's thing does not appeal to me at all, really. But I do think Microsoft had the best conference overall, if only because they had a good number of games to show, showed them off well, and didn't spectacularly fuck up their presentation. Which,
Looking at you, Sony.
Yeah, not the best E3, but it was decent.
Yeah,
You know,
there are
Microsoft
some
definitely had the
games-
best.
There are some games I want to get.
Yeah, there's some
and-
games I definitely want to get to.
and
There's
hell
one that
freezing
shows a
over-
release date yet.
And hell freezing over that Kingdom Hearts finally has a date. Whether
Hell
they'll
freezing
keep
over
see,
to
we'll
it.
see if it keeps it.
Yeah.
And hell freezing over there's a Resident Evil 2 remake coming as well.
Yeah, there were actually a few. They're bringing over, what was it, Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 0.
Yeah, for PC, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, the PC Gamer show.
Oh yeah,
Right?
that was actually they had a lot of stuff because
Yeah.
it's from all
Mhm.
kinds of different
We-
people.
Yeah, we don't have time to cover that. Like, if you want to hear our detailed, raw impressions, just go listen to our streams about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got to wrap this up. And yeah, that'll about do it for this week of the show. Coming up the week ahead, let's see, on Sunday, we have reviews of Forgotten and the game we did an interview about on Tuesday, and Sorcery Saga, Curse of the Great Curry review. That's the game I couldn't get running, so
Wait. I think that is the game I have for the PSP that I was
I
mentioning.
was wondering about that. That
about
sounded
for the Vita. Yeah.
like, I
That's-
if you do, Strange World,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but we're reviewing the PC version that got released a few weeks back.
That's an old game. It's been out for some
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Ghostlight tends to port old JRPGs to the PC.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, especially from Idea Factory. We have dealt
Yep,
with
that's
several.
the one.
I'm like,
Well, if you're here for the review, you can ask questions about how it compares or something.
Right.
anyway, next week we do have a Tuesday show planned. It's the rescheduled one with Ralph Egas of Abstraction Games. I think we were supposed to do that about a month ago or so, but we had he hit some unforeseen snag at the very last minute, like the day of the show, and it had to be delayed a month. So hopefully that goes through this time around. You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially since it's never fun waking up at the ass end of dawn to make sure your European guests are, ready, and just have them say, "Oh, turns out they have problems." Anyway, and coming next Wednesday, our good friend John Pickett of Manga Gamer is going to be returning. We'll be talking about the House in House in Fata Morgana sequel, prequel thing. But more to the point, we're going to be talking about the entire visual novel kerfuffle that happened around Steam, and GOG's gotten into the visual novel game now. Lots happened in the past 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's going to be a very interesting interview, if nothing else. Like, not sure how much of their actual wares we're going to be covering there, because this is a very big, very heavy, very hot topic. Not quite as hot as when it looked like the visual novels were going to actually be pulled, but still, lot of questions here.
How do you feel about the fact that Steam thought the only way that they could make sure that you'd be allowed to be on there is by saying that they'll host literally anything that isn't blatantly illegal or trolling?
Right. So be sure to tune in to that next week. And until next time, I wish you good gaming.